Hi everybody, it's Mr. D at In the Middle with Mr. D1 at blogspot.com. Today we are going to talk about how we can get our middle school singers to watch you better. And if you are here, please do lots of hearts when you're liking what you're seeing so that I know what to give you in the future. And of course, at the end of this Periscope session, we are going to offer several deals in my TPT store and TES store, let you know. So the dog's going, so forgive it. I welcome you, Canada 613, and I saw some others, Sam, Cabra. Welcome. And if you have questions, please chime in and let me know what those questions are. And I'm going to set up my computer here real quick because I need to check my notes. So getting our kids to watch us, especially in middle school, is a big challenge. Sixth graders is where I always start with everything and setting that foundation. Hi there, I see GH, thanks for coming. In the beginning of the year, when I teach vocal warm-ups is where it all begins. That's everything starts in that vocal warm-up. And one of the activities that I do is called Follow Me. And I do this right at the beginning on one of the very first days. I teach them in vocal warm-up. We do a mental warm-up, a physical warm-up, and a vocal warm-up. And so as part of the mental warm-up, I stand in front of them. I'm gonna move this chair out of the way. And sorry for the summer shorts, but I tell them just to follow me and to do everything that I do. And so we start with this regular singing stance, and then I silently move. And you get the drift. And I make it, and they do it with me. And I do all kinds of crazy things. You know, I get as crazy as possible. You know, I make faces. I end up with something funny that looks stupid on me. Like I'll dance or something crazy to make them laugh, all right? And if they know you're gonna end with something funny, it's great. So that first time, you go for quite some time and do crazy things with your hands, your fingers, your head, you know, your ears, just anything you can think of. And then that sets them up to, hello Donna and Sam, that sets them up to that relationship between you. You don't allow them to talk during that time at all. They might snicker or giggle, but you tell them ahead of time, like this is just, it's a non-verbal thing, okay? So that sets them up for the importance of you being one with them. So that is the first thing that I do, and I'm gonna check my notes here. I call that exercise Follow Me. Hold on one second. Hello, everybody joining. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let me see if this computer's going to work for me. Here it goes. Okay. So then another, one of my biggest and most important things that I do is almost all of my vocal warm-ups are a cappella. I mentioned yesterday in the Periscope that I really don't like to be behind the piano. I'm not that good at it, so that's part of the reason. But I'm fine, I can get by, but I try to get away from behind the piano as much as possible and in front of them because I have very large classes. So my average class size is 70 and up, and my max is 84, so that's the most I can have. So I've got to really have them all the time. So the vocal warm-ups are almost always a cappella. I'm just going to slide this over so I can cheat my notes. So in the vocal warm-ups, I usually guess pitches. Sometimes I'll give myself a pitch. The first thing that I do in the beginning of the year in my warm-ups is that I want to teach them to respond to my conducting cues by breathing together, by learning to attack sounds together, and by learning to release sounds together. And then finally, I want them to move in rhythm together. So your cues and your directions have to be as clear as possible. So first thing with the breathing is, and I don't care, I'm not teaching breathing technique now. I'm just talking all about how to get them to follow you. So I stand in front of them and I just say, I just want them to inhale when they think I've given them the cue. And I stand here for a really long time and I just look at them in silence. All right, and then they breathe with me. And then the first time, it'll be a little bit off, right? And then I'll say something to them about, you know, that wasn't quite together. Some of them will be late, you know, and our goal is to move as a school of fish, always, okay? So then I'll do it again, and I'll do it at a different speed, right? And if they do it too fast, too slow, I correct them in as positive a way as I can, and do it again the same speed. And then they learn the importance of that attack or that breath together before we even attack, okay? And then the second part of that is I teach them to breathe together and then to hiss together. And those are the cues that I give right there. So I'll tell them the instructions. We're going to breathe, and then we're going to hiss, okay? And that's all I want to do on the second part of that warm-up. So I go. And inevitably, a sixth grader will enter too early, right? So I'll say, no, it's got to be clean. And we make sure and teach that clean technique right off from the very, very beginning when we're developing that relationship for them to watch us. So we'll do it again. And I'll wait a long time. And then I'll go like that for them to learn what the cue is for the hissing. And then the final part of that, that part of my teaching them to follow me is the releasing. Okay, so in the release, I show them that when I want them to stop, I will do that very clearly. I teach that process. So many teachers forget to do, especially with young singers, and they wonder why things are sloppy. But if you do this from the early part of the year, you got them. So we review again. We're going to breathe together. We're going to hiss together. And then when you see the cue, you will stop together. And so I tell them that very clearly, and then we go. Inevitably, somebody will continue because while they're hissing, they will be looking around. And so you stop and you don't yell, you don't scream. You're just like, oh, did you hear it? It didn't end together. But about half the class will end with you that first time. It's key that you do it until you get it right once so that you can praise them. This is really, really important. So that is the part of my warm-up that I do right from the beginning of the year, where you're teaching proper attack, proper release. You're not behind the piano. I mean, it's not that it's bad to be behind the piano. You can go behind the piano for days, and do scales and things like this, but that's just not what I do, and it works well for me. Occasionally I do that, but not traditionally. And then I want them to learn to move in rhythm together, and I use scales to do that. So in SQ Middle School Sight Singing Program, we sing scales a lot in our prep, and we go. I still have a little bit of laryngitis, so please forgive me, but we go do, I'm not going to sing, do to high do, and then we break, and then we go high do to low do, and the rhythm is do, re, mi, fa, right? Hello, forever yours, thanks for joining. So we go all the way up the scale, and then we stop, and we cut them off, and then we come back down. So I have to teach this, right? It's very important that you teach what it's going to be. So I'll tell them that we're going to sing the scale. I tell them that I'm going to give them a beat before, a measure before, at least one measure. And they have to learn the cue of when I want them to come in. Do, re, mi, fa, and like this, okay? And then when they get to the top, I give them the release that I've taught them in the other warm-up. You don't have to do this all in one day, for sure, so you can spread it out. But they will move too slowly on the scale sometimes, or some child will move too fast. Stop and correct. Don't let it continue. Make sure that they breathe with you. Make sure you're very clear. And if you are feeling like tricky that day, it's a good idea to once in a while give them two measures and make sure that they see where your prep is and where their breath is that you've taught in the previous exercise. And then when they do it correctly and they're singing the scale and it's in rhythm and everything's jiving in terms of the rhythm and it's a cappella, this is praise them. Make sure you praise them. So that is some things I do in my warm-up, so forgive me as I move here. And I'm going to go into what I call the crazy conductor exercise. The crazy conductor exercise is another rhythm exercise where thanks for the hearts, appreciate it. It's another rhythm exercise where they have to follow me. Again, it's a cappella. They follow my ta, is what I call it. So I will conduct them in 4/4 time because that's the easiest one to start with. And as they become proficient, you can certainly try other 3/4 and 2/4 with your middle schoolers or whatever. But they have to follow me and then not follow each other, which we all have been in front of our kids when they start to rush the beat in a fast song. If you have, hearts are great. And we don't want this, right? So we want to continue to build that relationship. So following my ta, again, we've already taught them about breathing together and attacking together and releasing together. So that's clear. Those habits are good. Then, hello, thanks for joining. I see Rose, I missed it, faded away. So in 4/4 time, it would look like this. Ta, 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 and they just say it, right? And the first time you do it, thanks for joining, you just keep it steady and you don't get tricky, all right? And once they've done it and they're in your rhythm, and if then you're ready to move on. If they're not, then do it again. Ta, 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 and always give them an example first, and then just keep going, and then you stop, and you practice the release. Now, the crazy conductor part is next, right? So what you're going to do in the middle of that exercise, you tell them, I'm going to try to trick you, all right, on purpose. So I'm going to slow down or I'm going to speed up, and your job is to follow follow me, okay? So we'll go like this. Ta, 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 ta. And I don't say it, I'm not doing it, I'm just trying to give you the example, right? And on that one I started slower, that's tricky for them, and they miss it. Stop and go over. Did you see how I started, right? That it was significantly slower. You can even ask them before if you don't want to trick them early on, because you don't want to trick them too early. Just say, does it appear to you that I'm starting, that this is a faster exercise or a slower one? Ask them to join you, all right? And to assess and get their feedback. And then the next exercise I might go. Ta, 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 like that. Anything to get them to have to watch it. Now, initially, especially the younger singers, they're going to go, they're going to follow each other. And that's when you get to have that conversation. Your job is to follow me. And these are exercises you can spread out over a week or so. Just say it's going to take way more time than I'm doing today. Thank you, Rose. I studied at University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and I appreciate the interaction a lot. I'm stepping away today a lot, but I want to certainly appreciate your interaction a lot. All right, so the next exercise after Crazy Conductor is one of my favorites. I have so much fun with this, and I think that's really key, is that you have fun and laugh with the kids when they're learning these, to follow you. So I call this exercise Watch the Dot. And in this exercise, it's an exercise I do right before a D review. This was 7th and 8th grade. Oh yes, hello GL Ward, I appreciate you every time. I do this in the beginning of the year, and of course the more confident they get, the more crazy I can get. And it's really about building those relationships with the kids, so that they learn the importance of following. It's really crazy in 7th grade. The kids that didn't have me in 6th grade, and there are usually quite a few that join, they are just not able to, it takes them longer, they don't look. You have to teach the kids the importance of that in the most fun and clear way that you can possibly do, and you gotta laugh while you do it and have a good time and not pick them out. If some child messes up that first exercise today, the hissing exercise, for example, and they will, because they're just learning, and that's part of the relationship you're setting up with them, is that you're supportive of them and you want them to learn. All right, so Watch the Dot is something I do right before concerts, and this is the final exercise I'm going to share today before I share with you the specials in my store. Watch the Dot is so much fun. It's like, I usually do it a week before the exercise. Before their first concert, which I usually do in October. They know the songs from memory, and they're really confident with it, but I want to re-emphasize the importance of watching me in that first concert. So I have a Promethean board in my room, but I didn't always have one. I've done this exercise for 100 years because I'm 400 years old, and I just draw a dot, a red dot on the board, and then I tell the kids, you're going to sing through, let's say, Drunken Sailor. You're going to sing it and it's a cappella. You're going to sing it from top to bottom, and I'm not going to conduct you. I'm going to conduct you in the beginning to get you going, and then I'm going to walk away, and when I walk away, I'm going to ask you, the minute I leave the podium, to stare at the red dot, and you have to keep singing no matter what happens in the room. No matter what, you must keep singing, and your job is to stay together as much as you can, right? So I stand on the podium, and we begin the song, And then I walk off the podium, and at first when I walk off, some of the kids watch me because by this time they've learned to really watch me. I'm like, nope, don't watch me, don't watch me. Watch the dot. And I just point to the dot. I'm like, there's the dot, watch it. And then when they watch the dot and they're singing the song and everything feels stable, you know, on a cappella that can be iffy. And if you're not really, if it's a really beginning group, then don't do it a cappella. You know, you can use another song. But this group, then I will start to distract them, and I will tell them, you know, before the exercise, I'm going to do things to try to get your eyes off that dot. All kinds of crazy things. And so they're excited about what the crazy things are because they don't know. So I walk away and I go right in front of a student and I will sing out of tune. I'll be like, doo, you know, or something. And they all giggle, but they usually stay together. And I go very, very gradually with increasing the amount of distraction I'm trying to do for those kids. So then I will run across the room right in front of them. And I'm like, and some child will just look at me and I'm like, look at the dot, look at the dot. No, look at the dot. And I keep doing this the entire song, and then I'll walk amongst them. I will throw books on the floor. And again, they have to continue singing. And I'll say, you know, stay together, but don't look at me. And I'm a former gymnast, so I will end up, like I throw chairs, I do all kinds of crazy things. Get as crazy as you want. But at the end, I'll like do an aerial in front of them or something. And then they're like, oh my God, you know, or something. But I don't know, not everybody's a gymnast, so you have to figure out what you can do. And I'm getting older, so I have to get more creative as I get older because I don't want to break a hip, right? But get crazy with it. Do you have an accompanist or do you accompany them? Well, I do have an accompanist for our festivals. But on the daily, I do not. So what I do with my accompaniment, I have a clavinova in the room. I record the accompaniment ahead of time. The clavinova has a flash drive, and I use that accompaniment as much as possible. Now, I realize the importance of live accompanists because they need to, you know, move with that. So I bring in those live accompanists toward the end when I'm using at least one song in 9 weeks. I'll have one, and then for festival, it's all live. And I have a whole unit I teach about live accompaniment because, you know, it's a whole different ball game, especially when I'm staying away from behind the piano as much as I can. Now, on Watch the Dot, at the end of it, it's so much fun, and that we follow it up with you know, a talk. They sit down. I'm like, what was that like? And did the dot do? Oh, good. Thank you very much, Donna. Did the dot do anything for you? Thanks for the hearts. Appreciate it. And they're like, no. And I'm like, why do you think it worked? Like, what do you think made it work for you? And they're like, well, you know, we're all focused on the same thing, and you know, all the things that you want to hear. And this is one of the exercises that they remember forever. And so later in the year, if they start to kind of get crazy looking around again, you watch the dot back into the picture. But what I say to the kids is like, you know, when I'm in front of you, I'm giving you instruction, and it's really important that we're all one all the time because things happen, you know, and I can keep us together and help us jive. All the things that you're telling them anyway, but watch the dot definitely drives that point home. The dot did nothing for us, yet we stayed together most of the time, even when you got crazy, right? So that's the whole point of that exercise, all right? So that is it for today. I'm going to go to Facebook Live in a minute, but I'm going to tell you about what's happening in the store. So first of all, in Teachers Pay Teachers store, the exercises that I just shared with you today in much greater detail are free for 2 hours, and it's called Keep Your Eyes on Me. And if you like it, press hearts because I need hearts to feel the love. But Keep Your Eyes on Me is free until noon today. And so thank you it's normally about $10. So go in there and grab it. Thanks for those hearts, and just get it and tell everybody you know. Please tell everybody you know. Just for the next 2 hours, call a friend, Facebook a friend, text a friend, go to Mr. D's store, Music in the Middle with Mr. D at TPT. That's what they can Google, and then they're looking for Keep Your Eyes on Me in the store. It is not a part of S Cubed. This is a part, it's a singular exercise, a singular, let me see, what do you call this? Product that I've uploaded on TPT that I sell separately. It's also included in the middle school new chorus teacher starter pack, which is, I'll mention this now, still $19 in my TES store. And it's normally like $69 in TPT, and it's $19. So Google Music in the Middle of Mr. D TES, and you'll get it for $19. and it has much more in it than Keep Your Eyes on Me as well. So, and you can look at the product description, of course. Also today until noon, level 2 of S Cubed, for all those people who are using S Cubed, this is for y'all, I appreciate you. If you want to go ahead and get level 2, it's $27 today until noon, all right? So go grab it. It's normally $99, and I'm just still getting the word out about level 2, and it's the one I use. Once I finish the original series, I go right into that, and my 8th graders are the ones I use it with, because I repeat S Cubed 2 years in a row because I get so many new students. So $27 is a steal until noon today, level 2, in my TPT store. And then the final thing today, or there's 2 more things. The original series, again today I've marked it down until noon, back to $99. Okay, so $99 if you haven't jumped in. These deals are going to be gone in July. It won't be this low because people will start buying again in July. And then, of course, I'm having a 10% sale on everything in my TPT store today, and I think it ends tomorrow. So, for example, S Cubed Sightseeing Examples Only is going to be $9 only. So if you're a teacher who likes to hand out the examples, or if you just want to peek into S Cubed and you don't want to invest the big money yet, that's a good way to get a look at it. Now in Keep Your Eyes on Me, which is free until noon today, I've got YouTube teaching examples, YouTube teaching tips, the same as I do for S Cubed. So go grab it. You can get a taste of, kind of how my programs work, all right? Thank you for tuning in today, and we will be back tomorrow with why do we have to wait to smile until after Christmas, or whatever that craziness is. And we'll talk about it. It's a little bit philosophical with a couple ideas for games. Y'all have a great day. I'm going to jump over to Facebook Live. Appreciate you.